Well, new rideshare apps are hoping to chip away at the Canadian market dominated by Uber and Lyft. Canadian app Hoover and Estonian app Hop are both promising cheaper rides for passengers and better pay for drivers. But driver and passenger groups say more than increased competition is going to be needed to improve the rideshare market. For more on what's happening, we're joined this morning by George Wedd, president of the Rideshare Drivers Association of Ontario. Welcome.
Good morning, Anne-Marie. Thank you, and thanks for having me.
Well, I can't wait to learn more. Listen, Uber and Lyft do not share the difference between how much passengers pay and how much drivers earn. Hoover says drivers keep 100% of their earnings, but they pay a $20 a month subscription fee. Hop says drivers keep 85% of their earnings. What makes these business models unique in this space?
Well, in this space, Hovers is unique because of the subscription, as they've said, and that they give 100% of the fare to the driver. But they do take charges for booking the ride, et cetera. And then there are other fees that are mandatorily paid to the city or whichever municipality you're operating in. Hop, so their model is based on a lower commission rate, which they have just changed. So they've put us up to what would be considered to be the norm at 20% versus the other two apps that have a sliding scale.
You've criticized the AI pricing model that Uber began using here in this country in 2024. The model, just for everybody's information, uses AI to determine how much drivers get paid. And how does that affect drivers and overall passengers?
So it works two ways. It exploits the rider and it determines what's the maximum amount that you will pay for that ride, whether it's a fair price or contains some dynamic component. It looks to put your fare up. But then it looks at the driver and it does exactly the opposite. How bad is his day? What's the demand look like on the road that day? What's the minimum amount he will accept? And then Uber takes everything in the gap. So what that equals at the end of the day is riders are actually paying more for their rides and drivers are earning much less for providing the service. And Uber's profits are through the roof now. They've been profitable now for the last 3 years, due most in part to this being instituted in the United States first and then brought into Canada. But now they're making money, but they're taking it from our drivers and the riders both.
Yeah, ultimately the riders as well. Analysts describe the rideshare market as a duopoly between Uber and Lyft. And in 2024, Uber's global revenue was nearly $44 billion US. Lyft's $5.8 billion. How challenging is it for competitors to try and emerge in this space when you're looking at those massive margins?
Well, they have a lot of money behind it, so their marketing plans that they do and their promotionals that they do for both, whether it's gig Uber Eats or whether it's rides, they can really make it tough for a new guy coming in. They can obliterate them in a matter of months just with discounts. Hop has been, I'm going to say, largely successful in their launch here in Toronto for the most part. They've really challenged Lyft's market share, taking from both, of course, but they're at their 15% market share, maybe even on 20% market share. But they've invested a lot of those discounts, like a lot of marketing dollars for discounts for riders. So we'll have to see how that pans out after those discounts come off the options for riders. Hover, on the other hand, is a totally homegrown app. He works very hard to build a space for himself. We would consider him to be a little fairer in his approach on how he's offering the services to drivers. But again, he's got a number of hurdles to overcome before he actually is going to be a staple in Toronto area that's going to be around, but he's trying to get there.
In March, Toronto stopped approving Uber and Lyft expenses for their city employees. Toronto tied the move to Canada-US trade war. Where could the rideshare industry fit in to the Buy Canada conversation?
Well, they're really falling short. In a lot of jurisdictions outside of Toronto, for example, or across Canada by and large, you really do have the duopoly. So if it was suddenly targeting those U.S. companies, then the ridership would have a seriously hard time in getting around at an affordable price.
Interesting conversation this morning. Thanks so much, George. George Wedd, president of the Rideshare Drivers Association of Ontario. Good to have you with us.
Thank you. Have a great day and happy Canada Day, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.